Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And there are some leaks that are coming out of the White House. Now, this is unprecedented, and it looks like what they're leaking is that the White House is putting forward little feelers and polling about Kamala Harris replacing Biden on the ticket and how she would fare against Trump. Now, this is extremely significant because it's coming from the White House, one, and two, that is going to be a thing for our gun rights. So we're going to explore it in depth right now. Of course, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, because of course you absolutely do not want the YouTube subscribe eating monster to deprive you of your gun rights feed. So make sure you have not been unsubscribed and you're not being taken advantage of by that big green jerk face right there. But let me get him out of here because we don't need him. And let me bring you to what we are actually talking about. All right. Please send this one out because we're going to hit this tonight when we do the potentially Biden's last stream. He's got his own little Custer thing going where it's like his last stand. So his big boy press conference, we're going to be streaming here live tonight at 6:30 Eastern time. So make sure you are there for that because it might be his last one if he flubs this up. But let me walk you through this because, again, when it comes to our gun rights, this is a really big deal because Kamala Harris is arguably more fervent in her push for gun control than Biden is. Biden is incoherent. Kamala Harris is an ideologue. Biden kind of does whatever he's told and is put on his teleprompter. Kamala Harris has gone above and beyond, making safety a right, banning everything, banning this, banning that, red flag laws, all of these different pieces. So check this out. This is what's coming from a leak in the White House, according to the New York Times. This is not a side piece here. Live election updates. Biden campaign quietly tests Kamala Harris versus Trump. As President Biden faces growing calls from nervous Democrats to end his re-election bid, his campaign is said to have surveyed voters to assess the vice president's strength against former President Donald J. Trump. Now, I'm going to jump over to another article, which is also in the New York Times at the exact same time. Look at this. Some Biden advisors are discussing how to convince him to step aside. And I've highlighted a few points here that I really want to bring to your attention as we go through this and prepare for Biden's last stand. Some longtime aides and advisors to President Biden have become increasingly convinced that he will have to step aside from the campaign. So this is longtime advisors and aides. This is not external, okay? And in recent days, they have been trying to come up with ways to persuade him that he should, according to three people briefed on the matter. In other words, they're trying to trick him and make him do it, right? Because he's not going to do it. He said it himself very adamantly. And you're probably going to hear that a lot tonight when you tune into the live stream here. Biden's last stand is probably going to be very defiant and probably riddled with some gas, which are probably going to seal his fate. But anyway, let's keep going. They said they have to make the case to the president. So they're having to convince him of this, who remains convinced of the strength of his campaign because no one's telling him the truth or he's just senile. It's one of those two because anybody with eyes sees that the Cook political report is moving states that were far in blue territory into maybe red, and everything that was in the middle is going far red. I mean, like, this is catastrophic on an unprecedented level for Biden. That's why I'm going to show you the second article with Harris. All right, let's keep going. They have to persuade him to believe that another candidate like Vice President Kamala Harris could beat Mr. Trump. Those discussions were recounted by three people familiar with them who, like others in this article, spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the sensitive situation. We've got to figure out a way to tell Biden that he's going to lose, but without really insulting him. But we also have to do this under the condition of anonymity because everyone's pissed off about this. And by the way, at the exact same time, we're going to put out some feelers and polls to see if Harris and how she'd do against Trump. The White House is doing that. That's the leak. Everyone, up until now, everyone else has been doing it. But for the White House to be exploring options on a secondary candidate, the vice president in this case, that's telling. But let me continue here. I got a couple more things that I highlighted before we get back to the actual leak here. The people who are closest to the president, a group that includes some of his longest serving advisors and members of his family, so you know who that is, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, remain adamant that Mr. Biden will stay in the race. Of course they do, because their future is tied to it. But among the biggest obstacles that those people see is convincing Mr. Biden that he cannot win. So he is stubborn, he is dug in, he is senile, and he is extremely unwell. Okay, so he's digging in, and they've got to figure out a way to convince him that he's going to lose without pissing him off. Okay, good luck. The president told confidants before his disastrous debate showing on June 27th that he believed he had a better chance of winning a second term than Ms. Harris had at winning. So this conversation was already in place before the debate. It says it right there. According to a person told of the matter, two people close to the president said he remained convinced that he had a better chance of winning than she did. Again, you're talking about, okay, I can go to the other article now. You're talking about before the debate even happened, there were discussions internally that's saying, I still think I can do better than Kamala can. What? Okay, let's continue. I got the main point here of when they're leaking this stuff out. I already showed you this part as President Biden faces growing calls. They're surveying for Kamala Harris. But listen to this. It's a high-pressure day for Biden because, of course, the big boy press conference is tonight, which we will be streaming again. For his pressure over the future of his candidacy, his campaign is quietly testing the strength of Vice President Kamala Harris against former President Donald J. Trump in a survey of voters, according to 3 people informed about the effort. The examination of how Ms. Harris could perform at the top of the ticket, described on the condition of anonymity, there it is again, because of the sensitive nature of the information, comes as some longtime advisors to the president are said to be considering ways to convince him to end his bid for re-election. Guys, we are about to see the culmination of all these efforts. I don't know who's going to win this. I don't know if it's going to be the Biden faction, the Obama faction. I got nothing. We're going to find out tonight if he muddles through it and doesn't screw up, or if he screws up and it's over. But understand what's laying out here. They, from the White House, they are tripping out. Just, hey, how's Kamala Harris sound? No reason. I'm not asking for it. It's not, obviously, it's not for any specific reason. I'm just curious. Yeah, it's over our little salad. I mean, like, let's have a conversation. What do you think? No. They're doing it because they're like, okay, what are our actual options here? And again, for our Second Amendment rights, that poses a bit of a problem because Kamala Harris is a lot more aggressive. Now, how she polls and how she actually wins or loses, different thing, which we will fully cover. But understand, Kamala Harris changes the entire race. For good or for bad, the entire thing changes. But this is the last thing I'll show you here. Representative Gerald Connolly, a Virginia Democrat, was receptive on Thursday to potentially switching from President Biden to Vice President Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. Quote, it's clearly an option that needs to be on the table, he told CNN, but he did not call on the president to step aside. Virginia is a state that is flipping towards the red side with Biden at the top of the ticket. You think it's any coincidence that this is happening? And now, that's kind of the main point. I didn't have any other pieces that I wanted to show you. So what we're effectively looking at here, guys, we are looking at a White House who's saying there's no problem, nothing to see here. Biden's absolutely the campaign on this hand. And then on this hand over here, they're going, so what about Kamala Harris? Just so we know all the options. I mean, who doesn't want to know all their options, right? Again, make sure you tune in tonight when we cover the live stream of the president's actual first big boy press conference he's had in 8 months, because it's make or break, and it could genuinely be his last stand, and I can't wait to see you there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one.